I have a Personas set up, and then I have a small Midas, and then I have I go through a new thing called Axion,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a 4-channel thing, but
All right, this button, that button.
I kind of lean a lot.
Whatever's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Podcast in Agreement. I don't even know the name of my own show. Almost in Agreement. I've got Nicholas Ciparro, is that correct?
You would not be the first or the last person to mispronounce.
All right, we'll correct that here in a second.
Ciparro. It's okay.
Ciparro, okay.
Yeah.
Check us out. You can email us at almostinagreement@gmail.com. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. Please comment in there and do that kind of thing as well. Our Facebook, not our Facebook page, our website is almostinagreement.com. You can go there and get all the episodes or to any of your favorite podcast providers. Later this week, I will be loading out our city election voters guide. So look out for that coming on our website soon as well. When you're on a Facebook page and that stuff, do the like, share, the comment, the subscribe, whatever the platform use that gets you through to do whatever you need to do to help us get the word out and stuff like that. And other than that, we're running out of time. I got a lot of people to go through before this the primaries for these city races get going, and I've got to sift through all the crazy county madness. But we'll go from there. We're almost in agreement. Here we go. All right, Ciparro.
Yeah, Ciparro. Yeah.
Ciparro.
Yeah, like an arrow.
Ciparro. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you prefer Nick or Nicholas or and
you can call me Nick. That's easier for everyone.
Okay. So we're going to start way off topic then, because when we were getting set up, you were talking about how you used to work at Blue Cats, and back when Blue Cats existed was back when I was in a rock band, and we played there a couple times.
Which one?
I was in Senru, Senryu.
Senryu, yeah. I definitely mixed for you.
I had Will on the show a couple months ago. It's the first time I talked to him in like 15 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I remember those days. So I guess to fully involve you guys in the conversation we were having pre-show, we were sound dorking it out for a little bit, talking about our bells and whistles and knobs and faders and all that kind of stuff for any other sound dorks out there like us. And so that's the past of Nick. So one of my standards when I get into this, when we start doing this, is you're running for District 3. That's against SEMA. We had SEMA last week. But for anybody who doesn't know any better, if you live in Knoxville, what part of Knoxville is District 3?
That's a pretty easy one. It's that SEMA actually, I watched your episodes before, and she actually took that from the campaign forum that I said. The descriptor is, it's the piece of the pie of Knoxville where it's in between Middlebrook and Clinton Highway. And
right.
That is that pie, that triangular shape that makes. Yeah. Everything in between, basically. There's a little bit of neat stuff at the pointy part, but yeah, basically that.
Yeah, District 3 doesn't have the weirdness that District 2 out here by my house has, where there's as much finger annexing, and because there's a weird spot out here for you District 2 people, which speaking of, I've got Roberto this week as well.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's District 2. So District 3,
there was actually a lot of finger annexing in District 3. They filled it all in. That's what happened.
Gotcha.
There.
So, but at least it's a logical shape, because that's the thing about this whole District 2 debacle way out here by me. It's just so awkward. Is that I technically am county.
Yes.
By a fence line on this side and like 3 houses on that side, but then there's tons more city west of me, and it's like,
what's going on here?
Right? And it's just a tax grab if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of
it. That's
if
exactly what it was. Yes.
Okay, so I don't know, like, because the thing for me, city's a little weirder because I'm not in it as a voter, but just kind of the same genre I go through. It's like, well, what kicked it off for you? What went from, I'm paying attention, I know kind of what's going on in town, to I feel like I need to be a part of this instead of being on the sidelines of this? What was that process for you?
Well, I've ran for office before. I actually ran for city council when I was very young, 23 years old, back in 2003. And that was most of the time I've ran for 3 different offices, and it was because something was wrong and someone needed to highlight it. Like when I ran for city council in 2003, I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to win this, because one, I was up against plenty of establishment, and I was running for the seat C independent seat.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually Marilyn Roddy of Roddy Coca-Cola ended up being moved to that for the ballot. So I knew I wasn't going to, you're not going to beat that much money coming at you, especially when all you're really trying to do is, hey, at the time it was, hey, my house got robbed. The guy who robbed my house lives down the street, and they have his fingerprints, they have everything. What's going on here?
Right.
And, it was what it was. We got it all fixed. The police department helped me out quite a bit. Everything helped, fell into place when I ran for city council. Then it was just like instant, like you instantly grabbed the attention of people.
Right.
I could speak, and it was in the newspaper because I think it was.
I mean, you're on this show, so that says the same premise. I mean,
exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
I didn't know you existed. I mean, I did, obviously, in hindsight. It's just not one on my list of memorable moments in the different venues that I played at. I always liked my sound guys, except one, but that wasn't you.
I always tried to be like, if you like me that much or whatever, cool, we're buddies and everything like that. But I did not at the time. And this is actually kind of how I do with government. It's the same thing. As a sound engineer, you want them to either remember, oh, that place was cool. The whole place was cool.
Right.
Because that guy was cool. Okay, fine. But never a situation where, oh, this place is awful because this guy works here.
Right. Or that sound guy. Yeah. 100%.
Yep.
It's like I had to pitch a fit and kick and scream and diva out just to get something simple done with that guy. And so that's my memory of that place, instead of it being, because that's one of those things to me. It's like, if you do like that job, if you do it right, nobody pays attention.
Nobody. You're on stage, you're playing, you're like, I just had a great show. There's like people that are adoring me afterwards. You forget all about the sound guy.
Right.
And if you're a good sound guy, you have to know that you're not on stage.
Right.
The people that are on stage, you're supporting them, and that's kind of how it works with that kind of industry. Because I did lots of studio work, I did tour work, I did all kinds of stuff. I worked from John Mayer to Disturbed,
right?
Like that kind of level of people. But then a lot of local bands because thankfully Blue Cats was one of those open door policies where good local bands got their shot. And 10 Years was signed out of there. I was there for that. Whitechapel got signed the night I mixed them.
Right.
It's things like that. That's really, really, really cool. That's your mark in history. It's not that you made the Melvins sound great. They sound great every time they play.
Right. Right, for sure. And so, I mean, and again, so like, and I think, and I don't know, maybe this is too leading in that maybe that's the sign of a good city council rep, is that nobody's paying attention because nothing's wrong.
That's exactly right. Actually, I had an interview yesterday with the Compass, and I said that
sons of bitches.
That exact line. I said, listen, nobody would be complaining if everybody was doing the job right.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if the job's being done right, and everybody, everything's going good in the city, there's not really that much turmoil or controversy. There might be little things here and there, but they're all non-issues. And that was the thing I saw with SEMA. She was saying that basically in my district, and you can do this over and over and over and poll everybody there, because so far we've done multiple polls and things like that. And the 2 issues that come up, it's usually 3 issues. This is what'll happen. You got 3 things. And the 2 issues that come up every single time, 100% of the time in my district, are taxes and safety.
Right.
End of discussion.
Right.
Because these people, you live in a nice neighborhood too, and I live in Fair Oaks, which is a decent neighborhood. It's a lot of working class people. It's probably one of the most integrated neighborhoods. Like my neighbor to my left is a black guy that immigrated from Jamaica, and his wife, they're amazing. Their two sons are amazing. They're super great people. The next one is Hispanic. To my right is, and my wife is Chinese, so, we're a mixed household. To my right is a white dude. Then the next one is some white people. And then the next group is a black family as well. So it's one of those kind of things. Our cul-de-sac is awesome. I love it. Come barbecue with us. Tyrone just kills it, dude. He brings out the Jamaican jerk chicken. It's over with. It's over with.
All right, show's over. We're going to eat, guys.
Yeah. That's my vice too.
Right.
So, food is my vice. So we'll be. But that's the whole thing, is when you have your neighbors going. That's how I got into this again. They pulled me back in.
Right.
So what happened was I was on Facebook back in. I don't visit Facebook that often, but what I was doing was I was selling some parts for I'm making a 24 hours of Lemons car.
Mm-hmm.
Long story. If you look that up, that's hilarious too. I do a lot of things with my business. We do advanced composites and things like that, and we'll get into that later. But the point was, I was selling the parts. I don't go on Facebook that often, but when I got on there, all of a sudden like 30 people approach me and go, hey, you need to run for city council. And they're all people that live in my district. I mean, I have some neighbors and stuff like that around my Facebook profile. And I was like, what's going on? Dude, finally, we found out, we remember that you ran and you know how to do this. Do it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And then it started it was like, next thing you know, people are approaching me in person. People are approaching me on Facebook. People are calling me.
Right.
And they're going, we know you can beat her. And I'm like, well, what about her? And I hadn't paid attention too much outside of when they tried to put a prison in my backyard. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, I was like, and then we defeated that. So we're like, oh, okay, city's going back to normal. And then I learned that, evaluations of property are coming through and stuff like that. And I had to fight tooth and nail because I bought a fixer-upper. And I didn't have to fight tooth and nail. Let's give the property assessor some credit here. But I did have to do the appeals process and go through and actually have them come out. And, it was a task. And so my taxes, didn't go up that much. They did go up significantly, but, because of the assessment. And that was a thing. They're all like, we're now receiving a huge assessment rating. These houses that were $100,000 are now going to be at the $200,000 and $250,000 mark.
Right.
And my dad's house, he lives in Cumberland Estates, his house is looking at $300,000 assessment.
Right.
Okay. And he's retired. He's barely a construction worker anymore. He's basically retired. He's facing taxes that are more than double of what he once had. And when they reassess that, he has to get rid of that house. I mean, it's that much money.
Right.
And that's what I found out, is a lot of these older couples and older families and stuff like that might just have had their kids move out to college or, this and that.
All right, so I'm going to interrupt here because this is one of the things that I'm confused about.
I'll clarify that.
In the grand scheme of things, because the tax assessor, because, if you've listened to me at all, I always talk about Metro stuff, and this is one of the things that gets confusing is because the tax assessor's office is a county office.
Yes, it is.
And that is an elected office that we have next year. We're not talking about that real today. We're talking about city elections, people. But 22, we have an assessor on the ballot as part of things. So that's where I'm confused. So how does a city council person have any effect on what the
rate? Yes,
because
they don't affect the assessor. So they affect the percentage at which the city taxes at. Okay, that's why there's a petition going out. That says, hey, we're going to change it where it's out of the city council's hands and it's the voter. So we're going to see true democracy if that thing passes, where the people that are in the city decide whether or not the rate goes up. I got to say S. So how it works is like this, and this has been very clear. The state law is that if they assess your property higher, mm-hmm. it's supposed to go down. The rate is supposed to go down.
Okay.
And so they're going to do a sweeping, I think it's going to be 2.2%, because how they do it, they do this janky thing where it's like, oh, it's $243 per $100. Well, that's 2.43%.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's
right, 2 cents per 100 or whatever.
Yeah. So it's going to go down to like 2.2. If I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So it's going to go down to that because the state law requires that. Okay, because it can't go up if they assess your value higher. Okay, that's an anti-money grab scheme.
Right.
but it's still 2.2 of double the amount of my house.
Right.
So, and last Monday, we were at Beaverbrook, and they all every member of the city council called me a liar. And so I said, whoa, hold on. You don't think that the metrics are the amount of money that's coming out of my pocket is going to change? And they're all like, no, this is a non-issue. So I said, okay. And I saw that the tax assessor, Mr. Whitehead, was back there.
Right.
I said, Mr. Whitehead, will you do this for me? And he stood up and he was like, okay. I put him on the spot on accident. I didn't mean to.
Right.
I apologized to him afterwards because it's not fair. But I was using him as a 100% unbiased, accurate witness to what these people were saying. And including the vice mayor was there. And she called me a liar too. And Lauren called me a liar. And Tommy called me a liar. And Roberto wasn't there to call me a liar, but he would have too. Okay, they were all trying to cover their stuff up.
I'll ask him tomorrow if he would have called you a liar. But it doesn't matter.
He'll deny it. Okay, so actually, the only person that didn't call me a liar was Seema, because she was like, I don't know. And I'm like, you're supposed to know this.
Right.
This is rudimentary math. And here it is. I told him, I said, if I have a $100,000 house right now that's evaluated at $100,000, and I'm paying 2.43% on it, and it gets evaluated at $250,000, no matter what the rate is that goes down to, okay, say 2%, or they're not going to go below 2%. That's just not going to happen. Am I going to pay more out of pocket? And he was like, well, yeah, absolutely. And at that point, the crowd started cheering and laughing at the city council.
Right. You'd have to go, I guess the math would be, if it's 2.24, you'd have to do a third of it. So it'd have to be like 0.7 something percent.
Yeah.
To mathematically get there to where it's the same or less.
Exactly.
Over time.
So, let's just say they evaluate my house at 2%. You got to just cut it right in half. You have to cut the rate in half, but they're not going to do that.
Right.
So essentially, they're backdooring a higher amount of money out of our pockets. It's just a fact. You can't, now I'm an engineer, like an actual engineer, a chemical engineer. So you're not going to fool with my math.
Right.
And I work with a team of engineers. So if I go, hey, do you guys think this is right? I can actually go to them on any kind of math problem.
Right.
If I think I'm crappy at math, my wife is Chinese and bulletproof. We'll just say that she is amazing. Okay, and
well,
that's not,
it's like
whatever. But
to me, it's like, well, like if just standard human budget things is that you have an in and an out, and if you want to raise the out, you have to raise the in, because this is one of those things.
Yep.
To me, as a lay person out here on the street trying to live my life that doesn't understand how it's like, what is the point of the assessor's office other than to raise taxes? Because I sell my house today. It has nothing to do with the county assessed value of my home.
Yep.
It's what somebody, it's a voluntary exchange where you're willing to pay X for this house. I'm willing to sell it for X. We agree. If it's a different number, we have to fight about it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So what is the point of an assessor other than to do?
Well, this is before, so you can always assess your property at whatever you want. Like Zillow is not the authority on how much a house will go, because even right now, the Zillow price is below what houses are selling for.
Right.
And so usually what the property assessor does, and this is what I've learned, and I talked to them afterwards for a good length of time, they usually go by the value roughly of what it sold for. So if you sell your house or houses around you that are equal or close.
Or the comps is the industry term. Right.
Yeah. And so they're trying to get it close to the value so that they have a median structure, an average, so that they know that they're not trying to rob you. I know that for a fact. That's the good part, is they're not trying to rob us or anything like that. They're just trying to assess the property. And because there's some people, I hate to say this, but they had this in Sequoia Hills where somebody had their house for 50 years, and the house is worth like $3 million now. Right. And they were paying taxes on a house that they paid 30 years ago. They were paying a rate for like $2,000. Right. On a house, that's worth
like a $300,000 assessed value, but that's a $3 or $4
No,
million.
we're talking like $2,000 to $5,000 assessed value. I mean, Jeez. Insane.
Right.
Okay.
So like $20 a year.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty easy. I mean, they're never going to complain about their tax rate. Right. But that's not fair to all their neighbors, and that's not fair to the rest of us, to have that kind of assessment. And that's what the county assessor office does, is they go back in and go, whoa, hold on. Everybody needs to be paying their fair share. I mean, and if it's your house is this, this valuable, or if you've improved and upgraded your home that much, then when you sell it, you're raking in that capital gains, that gain, okay? And then somehow now the next person that comes along, they've seen a tax record of this amount, and then they come in there and it's that much more.
Right.
The property assessor is designed so that they don't have that huge increase out of nowhere.
Right.
And you have to be fair to them. They are trying to do the best job they can. I'm not throwing them under the bus in any way. They're just doing their job.
Again, and I'm not saying yay or nay. I legitimately don't understand, and that's where that's a.
Well, now you do.
Right. When I get somebody that has a particularly specialty, I run down the rabbit hole with them on a thing that they're good at, because that's what I'm trying. I mean, again, I've said this 1,000 times for everybody that listens regularly and stuff like that. I think what makes this show functional is that I know I don't know. I'm not pretending like I know things. I'm not trying to jump in here like I am an authority on a topic. I'm literally fumbling through this like any of my neighbors would if they got the itch to do so.
That's the Joe Rogan model,
right? And if
it's very effective,
and people listen all the time, and I reference Rogan a lot. And he's certainly, if I ever got the opportunity to thank him for it, he's certainly part of the genesis of why I'm doing what I'm doing. He gets a little bit cooler because he just gets to ask people, and everybody will jump over the moon to be on his show.
He gets Elon Musk on there and smokes weed with him. I mean, it's incredible.
I got
you got me.
My favorite so far is Buck in the county law director.
Oh yeah.
I got a flat no.
No.
Not a busy. We'll check schedules. No, just no. He doesn't. He doesn't have time for you. And all I want to do is figure out how. I just want to understand from a legal perspective, with the person who has the authority to say so, how the sunshine law stuff works.
Oh
because
yeah.
It's craziness.
That is a thing. Because there is. So it's in. This is where we're going to get into good intentions, and then the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
Right.
Okay. So what the sunshine law is basically is that county commissioners and city council people and stuff like that can't discuss the issue before they go before the council.
They can't discuss with each other the issue, right?
Yeah. Which is actually, it's got good intentions. I understand what it's designed to do is because, and I know this from a fact. I've lived in Knoxville since '91, so there used to be a good old boy network that literally they would meet over there off of Chapman Highway,
right?
And they would meet in the back of a car lot, if I remember right. I mean, this kind of thing. And then they would discuss everything and make the moves and checkmate and stuff like that. That's what they're trying to prevent. But to have such a restraint that the council members have not been able to chit-chat at least a little bit, or maybe an open forum, maybe that would be a better way to do it, is have it. But you're not even allowed to, if I get elected and say Jim Culinaris gets elected, I can't use my cell phone anymore and type, "Hey Jim, what do you think about this issue?"
Right. Well, because I had a weird one because I happened to schedule Durrett and Biggs Ward back to back, and I realized I did, and I emailed them both immediately. I was like, "Hey, why don't we just do it together?" And just because the same
and you can't.
The same group of the same set of topics I want to talk to both of you guys about. Let's do it in one show and just go a little bit longer. And they both were kind of like, okay, but we need to check with the law director. And it's like, well, it's really unclear. We don't want to do anything we can't.
No, they can't do it.
Yeah,
that's not
so
allowed.
we didn't. But it's an oddity to me, especially for me. One, for personal gain. I wanted both of them at the same time. But it's not like they're speaking in private with me. This is a publicly, and I'm too lazy. Again, Joe Rogan model. I'm too lazy to edit. So it's not like they're going to talk about something that everybody doesn't get to hear. But again, like you said, I think it makes sense that there's the premise was correct, but in execution, it's not necessarily for the greater good either. But let's go back. So taxes is the thing. Taxes and police, is that the two things that you said?
Yeah. We're so on the inside, they're saying that they're 86 down. On the outside, they're saying, oh, there's 40 officers that were down in enrollment. Right. And here's the quickest thing, and this is going to destroy everybody who votes. And this happened actually at the Beaverbrook, where they all were all the current city council were raising their hand to defund the police. And I'm like, would you defund the fire department? Because I use that as a rhetorical, because there were 21 murders in Knoxville so far this year.
Right.
In the last 2 years, according to the Twitter page of the fire department, there were 12 fires.
Right.
So there are almost the same number of police officers as there are firefighters now. And police officers interact every day, day in and day out. And they actually prevent those murders in a way. Okay? Firefighters don't necessarily prevent. I mean, fire codes prevent fires.
Right.
no one's sitting there saying let's cut the fire department, because that would be insane. Well, I mean, to some degree.
Right.
I understand, because you and I are both more libertarian leaning.
Right. Although I
Volunteer
hate rural metro too. That's a whole separate.
That's a
story.
whole thing. But we're talking about efficiencies.
Right,
Then,
I
at
get
that
it,
point,
100%.
not necessarily.
Right.
Oh,
And
let's just slash the budget in half. We're not. You and I are agreeing that slashing the budget of firefighters is
right, and there's
necessarily a good idea.
there's a pragmatism at play that we need to keep in mind, and that's one of the things that when I get real autistic in my libertarianism, people just get really confused, because it's like, well, no, I understand that this is not practical. This is not.
Well,
something
there's an
that I can
end
just
to the
do.
goal of libertarianism too.
Right.
And sometimes I don't agree to that end necessarily. I do to a degree, but I'm like, that's a perfect society. That's just like the other way.
Right, and
the communist,
version, right?
where they
any
think,
other version, there's right.
It is what it is. So that's the whole thing. Is nobody's saying let's slash that or slash this or slash that. Let's slash the police, the ones that literally. And I've been talking to the officers left and right, and because I make ballistic armor, so that's another thing that I do. We make the best of the best, and we want to protect them. And if they're not protected, then they can't protect us. And we have an issue. It's actually safety. It's not just police. It's all safety as well, because they're importing. We know this for a fact. I've been talking to officers left and right that they're importing homeless people from Atlanta and bringing them here, and that's. Now, I'm not going to sit there and rail on homeless people all day, because that's a mental health issue as well as like, bad luck, and there's just some people that just don't want to do anything. They just want to live whatever. And those are the three kind of homeless people that exist. So it is what it is, but we're importing them. And now in my neighborhoods, in my district, my dad's neighborhood, you can literally throw a baseball to a homeless camp.
Right.
I mean, and again, $300,000 house, that's going to be evaluated at that. He can barely afford it. And yet the city doesn't clean up the homeless camp, because they're pulling the funding from the police officers and telling the police officers don't bother the homeless people.
Right.
That's insane. And this is coming from top down. This is the mayor and the city council. And if you notice, I see it over and over and over where the city council says they did it at the Beaver Brook thing where, we're just one member. Well, every time that there's a controversial or anything that the mayor brings up, there's an absolute 100% rubber stamp green line. Nobody dissents. There's none. You can look at the records, and never has there been a dissent except for two people that literally are the only people that dissent, and they're not in that five. The five that are getting kicked out hopefully this year, that five is the ones that are just the absolute rubber stamp over and over and over, and they defend the mayor and these policies over and over again. And then you don't sit at the table with us before the forums and everything and hear them talk, and they're all just like, whatever. You talk about the tax thing and they're just like, yeah, whatever, good, more money out of people's pockets. And I'm like, just like, are you serious? And then they go and then in the forum they'll call me a liar for saying that I'm going to be ended up paying more out of pocket, and the math absolutely shows that I'm going to.
Right. So really, what your campaign slogan is: I need this job to help pay my taxes.
Yeah. Actually, that's about the payment on that. Yeah, that's about right. No, I'm one of those people that tries to figure out a way to get rid of property tax altogether. I'm one of those people, and I actually, I mentioned that a couple times where if they had it where it was a sales tax up front, so you paid your property tax, and they took that money and put it properly into different bonds and different packages and stuff like that, they would never have to run off of the taxpayer's dollar again. Because you wouldn't do zero taxes on like commercial property or industrial property, which I pay something like $20-something thousand a year in property taxes in this city because I have businesses here.
Right.
And that being said, I think it's like 20. We have a triple net lease on two different properties that are very, very large. So that being said, I know how this is going, and also business. I mean, the growth is the third thing that usually comes up, and businesses are having a hard time opening. I mean, I just talked to a business the other day. When they opened, they're off of Middlebrook Pike. So there's no bike lane, no bikes travel down Middlebrook Pike. That's
Right.
I mean, that'd be kind of suicidal. Uh, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. And the city was holding them up from opening their business because they wouldn't build some $15,000 bike lane into their business and then build a bike rack inside the business, and take up parking for that. And it's like, there's nobody coming here on a bike. That's not how this works. And they were like, nope.
Right. I'll build bike access when you have bike access pulling up to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to be the first one on the list to do it.
And that also came from another a developer. I just left a developer's place, but another developer told me, and this was on the side. He's like, so I was doing a hybrid property. In other words, it's commercial with residential on top.
Yeah.
And they sent the blueprints in. The city then just goes and kicks it back out. The people that were involved, they kicked it out and they said, it's wrong. Why is it wrong? Well, this. Okay, they had the architect fix it, bring it back. Instead of going down the whole thing and red marking all the things that could be wrong,
just as soon as they saw the first one, they tossed it.
Boom, toss out. Then they come back, and so every time the architect works on it, it's $1,000. So after 5 times, because the last 2 times they couldn't get, they're like, what is going on here? Why are you saying this is no good? So finally, he brought the architect down. And, the guy who does the marking said, well, this says that you're going to have a store here with a clothes rack, with clothes racks. Like, yeah, what about it? There's nothing against code on that. Well, I need to know if the clothes racks have wheels or not. It's not your business, dude. I mean, I hate to say this, but the clothes racks were there for hypotheticals showing detail to the property. That might not even be what clothes racks are there. They might use something else. So why does it even matter on wheels on a clothes rack? And it cost him $5,000 for this.
Right.
And this is what happens over and over and over. And then the city, I'm going to tell you, the council is going to say, oh, we can't do anything about it. Yeah, you can. You can fire these people. You hear about this and you bring it up, you're a city council member. You have a due responsibility to your citizenship, to your constituents. You have to go there and say, oh, that's not right. I need to find out why and heat up the fire. Because right now we're hiring everybody. Everybody's hiring. So why isn't the city? If they got bad employees, I mean, you go to Burger King, and if you go to Burger King and you see the cook and he's spitting in every hamburger, you're going to tell the manager, hey, even though you can't fire him, you're going to say, hey, man, I'm the customer here. That dude's spitting in burgers.
Right. And as a city council person, you're supposed to be the representative of the customer.
Yeah. You might be the assistant manager. You might not be able to fire him, but you can definitely put him on probation.
Right.
And so that's how it works.
Do we have a city employees union?
Yes, I think they do have some unionized aspects, because there's multiple departments that have unions in their own.
Okay.
And I don't care. I don't care about their union or anything like that, because at that point you work with the union and you figure it out and you go, hey, look, this dude is bad news. You need to either move him around, find him another job.
Right. It's and again, it's one of those, we go back to the first part of the conversation is, we're getting higher assessed home values. That's bringing in tax revenue because we want more tax revenue to spend more money. It's like, well, more businesses could do that too if you'd let them get open.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention you take an empty lot and put $1 million multi-use property on it.
Oh yeah,
that
and
property
gets assessed
tax
at 2
and all that kind of jazz. So anyway, I mean, so.
There's a lot of road to. I mean, there's a lot. Even with our election, it's quite funny because so my opponent won with a whopping 25% turnout in the primary.
Right.
And how the system is right now.
Oh yeah, this is the one that drives me crazy.
Oh yeah.
Because I kind of I don't want to say I felt bad about it, but I kind of put my foot in my mouth a little bit when I had her on last week, because I'm railing against it doesn't make sense to me the way these city elections work. And she is one of the she's one of the benefactor, very much beneficiary to this system, in that she got blown out in her primary, but enough to take second to get her to the general, and then she got through on the general because the city as a whole liked her more than whomever she was running against last time.
That's kind of that's a nutshell thing, but actually it's he didn't campaign throughout the city. He thought he was going to carry it over,
right?
Which is a bad move.
Right.
Okay, because if you look at by precinct, again in our district, blew her out. Like I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's very close to the same kinds of numbers. Basically,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
just think that
huge numbers.
this system is so odd to me, and especially when I was talking to the Compass guys about it, they gave me the brief history of it being, and it was a very, it was a very leftover segregationist move by the old city council.
That's not true.
No, of the 70s?
No. Okay, so the Compass is going to spin it to whatever.
Okay, come on, hit me, because this is what I've heard.
I'll tell you exactly what it was, because guess who ran for city council when they developed the independent seats? And that's when part of this came through. So what they were doing, the mayor at the time, which I try to not say his name too much, they all thought that they could consolidate power in a way to keep out radicals. This is just a fact.
Right.
And because at the time, every once in a while there would be somebody come up, and they would just upheave the city council over and over, their meetings and this and that. Even right now, county commission, they had yoga going on like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Instead of meeting for county commission, they had to do an hour of yoga. That's not what our tax dollars are paying for. Okay, I understand they had a retreat and this and that, and they were supposed to like do this, but you don't carry retreats over into a meeting. And so that's what they were trying. And see, again, good intentions, which I don't actually agree with them being good intentions, but good intentions pave the road to hell. And so they thought they were going to do that. Well, then all that did was make it where the city is an authority, like the city-wide is an authority over the districts.
Right.
Which is not what you want. That's not what you want.
Right, again, we're going back to our Burger King example. I want
pickles. Right, and
but
dude says, "No, I'm going to throw onions on it."
Well, yeah, but I want I'm not that's a good sub one, but I'm seeing this happen. I'm going to the assistant manager. Mm-hmm. The assistant manager actually works for me more directly because it's my district, instead of it being, well, yeah, it's my district, but he was actually every other customer has a say in his ear too. And it's like, well, no, it's me and him because he's my or she's my.
Or even more scary, imagine if they did this nationwide, where you pick your congressman and we elect Tim Burchett, and then people in California, because they have more population, say, "Nah, we're gonna put this guy in."
Right, and I mean, I think and again, Seema's maybe a director.
She's a nice lady. Nobody beat her up. Nobody. There was
I like
lot
Seema
of.
a lot.
I mean, and that was funny, is because a lot of people said, "Oh, you." There was a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you probably don't like her," and I'm like, "No, she's a very pleasant person in person. It's just she's not very good at her job. That's all." And that's
right.
all.
And that doesn't make her a bad person either.
It doesn't make her a bad person. It's just, and again, she's trying. I know what she's trying to do now. She's trying to bridge gaps that weren't there. But those neighborhoods and everything like that I talked to, she had 4 years to reach out to them, and they reached out to her, many times, and she never answered the call. So she's going to lose our district again. That's all there's to it. This district, let's just say this. If I lose the primary, I'll be stunned.
Okay. All right. Well, so let's follow that down a little bit, because at least in your how are you going to take on the citywide version of it, with at least in your last
campaign
budget? I mean, last budget I pulled, you had a very small donation set so far. If there's a plan, I'm not trying to ruin surprises.
No, I mean, I'll let some of the cat out of the bag. Right now, I have a few thousand signs already.
Okay.
See, I chose to not take money, and then I bring money in. Okay, and that's just I operate on a budget. I don't fool with, I'm going to have $80,000 to walk into a campaign and spend it like an idiot. Okay, because that's actually the problem. Is a lot of people spend campaign funds badly. So and I'm if you know all my business partners and everything, they know I'm tight around the belt. I don't lavishly spend money, even though I drive a Tesla, but the reason why I drive a Tesla is because it saved me on gas money so much that it paid for the payment.
Right.
I'm not going to buy that car. This is not this is not a vanity thing where I'm just going to buy that car and own that car. No, I have the car because it saved me so much money that its payment is erased. And that's how I'd operate. That's how I do it in my life. That's how I do it in my business. That's how I do it in the city, because it's all what it is. And I do it in the campaign as well. So I put $200 in myself to get the bank account started. Then we took in some money. Now we spent some of the money to get the signs. Next is some other things, keep campaigning, slowly move it along. because also we know for a fact that they operate under dark money. I mean, the last time she won because a bunch of Share Blue money came in and got people to bust their way to the polls. I mean, that's just a fact. And so that's how she won last time, as well as the fact that Corcoran did not campaign for the citywide event.
Right. And I think
that's the problem, that he made his own, he made his own mistakes, and she took advantage of all of the things that she could take advantage of. And she won.
Right.
I mean, it's fair and square. You go by the rules.
Right, and given that you have a what I've started to refer to as a pointless primary, because there's two of you, and it doesn't matter what happens, the two of you will go on to the
why would I take in a bunch of money for something that doesn't matter?
So there's deep strategy happening here. People we're getting
a little bit
insights.
I mean, and I'm one of those kind of people. I don't try to spend a bunch of money, and if you want somebody that's quote fiscally conservative, that's me. I call it fiscally responsible, because I don't want to make it like a political thing.
Well, I mean, but conservative means you don't want to, where responsible means you're willing to. You just do it.
Yeah. And that goes into a lot of the issues that are going on right now. I hear you talk about Metro government, and I kind of grin, because I'm like, no way. I mean, and I'm a huge anti-Metro government, because A, it's an expansion of government in the county. Okay, right. You'll have more government in the county. And B, when was the last time, and I can quiz you on this because I've done a lot of homework on this. When was the last time that Metro government has served the taxpayer more while reducing costs?
Right. That's, I mean, and again,
it's this number. Right. It's absolutely this number.
Zero for you listeners.
I mean, and you live in the county, so imagine paying double your taxes. For the only difference for you out here will probably be trash pickup and leaf pickup.
I might get fired.
Yeah, but it's still on the border. If there's a fire, the fire department isn't going to stop at that road.
Right. First time I came out. First time we did I got my burn permit. Did the whole thing in county. First time I did it. I guess one of my neighbors called, and a city truck showed up in my front yard.
There you go.
The city guy gets out, and I was like, can I help you? He's like, you got a fire? I was like, yeah. He's like, you can't. I was like, pretty sure I can.
There you go.
And he's like,
so you already don't want Metro government. I just proved that you don't want Metro government. Right there. That in a nutshell.
You did. I mean, I do like burning things. Not that it matters. I have as much or more issues with rural Metro than I do with the fire department in the city. But
yeah.
Again, that's a whole nother
dude, we could go on that. And I'm one of those people who. You can go back to 2003 when I was running. One of the other issues that I ran about was, remember the convention center was built, and they spent the $100 million on that, and I was like, that's never going to pay for itself again. And this is the same kind of rhetoric, but it's actually bulletproof. How many cities have built a convention center that made money for the city? Zero again.
Right. I mean, I guess some of the argument would be that maybe not directly, but all the other things that go on around.
Oh, I understand that.
Whatever, and again, I that's not to say yay or nay on that, because that's a baseball conversation right now.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
That's the thing. And when I first got into this, I saw the baseball stadium as like, oh, this is an easy slam dunk. This is the same thing, because when I ran, actually, I had to talk about the convention center was done already. They were already building it. It's happening. What they were doing is arguing whether or not they were going to tear the Holiday Inn down next door,
right?
Build the same size building, same number of floors, same number of rooms, and give us another $65,000 tax bill for it. And then give that hotel to a management company. No thanks. Not on my watch. Never. No how. So I helped get the petition out for that, and help with that. That actually made my campaign actually worth, because I already got the attention that I needed at my neighborhood, got the things taken care of, all that. So I was like, well, I'm not going to win this thing. I might as well run with this and do us all a favor and save us $65 million, because we'd still be paying for that this day. Still,
I mean, we're still paying for the convention center right now, right?
Yep. Yeah. So add another $65 million to it, and there you go.
Right.
I mean, that's just a fact. So I jumped on that and tried to get involved in that, and that's kind of what happened. Was my campaign became kind of like a community service thing. Now it's a community service thing, but in the opposite is I'm actually going, well, I have to win this. We have to win this. All 5 of us have to win this. And I don't attach myself to them, the other 5, but the entire city council needs to be flipped. This is just a fact. They've been a rubber stamp. Don't ever let them say, "Oh, we're just one person," because they're not just one person. If they don't violate the sunshine law, they act like they do. I'm just saying. I'm not accusing them of it, but I'm saying they vote literally with the same talking points and the same lines and go bloom.
And so, okay, because that brings up one of the things that I've been trying to figure out and understand it is how our city government is what they call a mayor-heavy system, and I don't quite understand that because we got to chat about, I guess it was when we were on the budget conversation this year, and that as the council got their swing at it or whatever, the general consensus that I was getting is it didn't really matter. It was
they voted for it anyway.
Right, but if it was a split vote or something like that, it would have gone back to the mayor's office, and the mayor could just approve it the way she wanted it in the first place.
Indirectly and directly, that is true. Okay, so there are certain they would have to have a real no. They'd have to have 5 people vote no, and that's all they need though. But none of them vote no ever. That's the problem. They all go, "Oh, my hands are tied. My hands are tied," and they vote yes. You vote no if you disagree with something. If you think this is not right, if the budget's not right, what's it hurt you to say no? What, the mayor's going to be mad at you? The mayor's not going to be mad at you for voting no, I don't think. Have some courage. Pick up your own feet. Try to do something. Stand on your own merits. None of them have done that. And instead, they double down and make excuses for why they did it. Or they just go and they play salesman for the mayor and front up everything for them. It's disgusting. It's disgusting how cowardice that is. And I hate to, dish out, what is it called? Callous truths, but that's what that is.
Right.
At the end of the day, if they're going to make excuses, oh, well, then why'd you vote for it? You disagreed with it, and yet you vote for it. Well, I was just one. No, you vote no.
Right.
That's it. End of discussion.
It's a record. Right. It puts you on the record for X, and then when it comes to campaign time, if
you can say no and go apologize to the mayor and say, "Hey, I didn't agree with this and this and this and this and this."
Right.
And I think, honestly, the mayor would respect you more if you did that. If you said, "No, I disagree with this. You need to fix this part and get this figured out." Okay, then at least she would respect you and not think you're just a rubber stamp coward.
Right.
I mean, that's mean again, but it's true. She'd go, "Oh, okay," and then at the same time, she would work with you, and you would get the things you need done for your constituents. Or, worst case scenario, she would understand that you had an objection, and even if it was, you were the only dissenting vote, let's say, and you went up there and said, "Hey, I voted no because of this." She might go, "Hey," because maybe she's not an evil person. Maybe. Right. I don't know. I don't know her. But maybe she's not an evil person. Maybe she's an understanding person. Maybe she's just getting everything she wants, on face value, and doesn't realize, oh, well, this was a mistake, and that wasn't a very good idea. I'll give them all the benefit of the doubt. But if someone had said no and said, "Hey, this is why I say no," then at least you have a dissonant conversation, a debate, a discussion. Maybe you'll get what you want. And maybe you did something better for the community,
right? Or if there is the evil there, the evil is exposed, and then we have an election that comes up, and we don't put the evil back in place.
Exactly, and then it's out there in the open. And at least you're like, well, every time she goes for this, this and this and this, she's doing bad things. Okay, instead she's getting every time. It's like sycophants. That's what it is. It's literally like, oh, well, whatever great idea you come up with, it's great. Well, no, it's not. It's not great. And somebody needs to tell her that, and maybe it's not her fault. Maybe she just has some, she gets presented. She might have advisors that are giving her bad advice. I'm going to try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Again, like I said, Seema's not a bad person. I've seen her any way the wind blows on that politics. It is what it is. I mean, I literally saw her when it was one of the times when we had to raise our hands. She kind of raised her hand and then put it back down and then put it back up and put it back down. I'm like, no, you stand tall. You raise your hand if it's a yes or no issue and you honestly believe it. And it's not one of those kind of like with the I was the only one that raised their hand about the stadium, and when they said, "Do you support a baseball stadium?" Well, yeah, I support a baseball stadium, but not publicly funded. And I've said that 100 times.
Right.
So that question I can see, and I was the only one that was like, yeah, kind of. And I kind of raised my hand. I'm spotlighting myself as, people who don't like the stadium. They're going to be like, oh, I don't like him. No. I just don't like public funds for it. But at the same time, a baseball stadium downtown, to revitalize downtown, to try to help out things, I can see what they're trying to do. And now we're seeing that a lot more private funds are coming in. The costs are being offset. It's not going to be just sit in the city's lap and the city's just stuck with it.
As I've gotten to understand the way the original financing and the way it's been adjusting over time as things have fallen into place, the state funding and all that kind of comes in, it kind of feels like it's
a better thing.
It's not right. It's
it's not perfect yet.
It's not a handout as it was at least originally.
I was so worried about
pitched.
That.
Then it was just like here's $65 million worth of stuff. Enjoy, Mr. Boyd.
Yeah, I would have been.
I have a bigger issue.
You would have seen me picketing for that. I would have been on the outside. I've been throwing rocks. I don't care. I mean, you don't just throw out $65 million. Again, that's another $65 million.
Right.
I'm not going to let that happen. But if they adjust it and they figure it out, and it's like not just a stupid handout, it's actually okay. This is an asset. This is this doesn't have this. This doesn't have the caveats of that. Then I can get behind it. And there evidently, I guess they've heard that this. Boyd isn't a dummy.
Right.
Okay.
He scares the shit out of me right now.
Oh,
honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's not a dummy. So what it sounds like to me is that he had a plan that would back up and do what it's currently going to, but he did throw it out on the table. Hey, can I get a free baseball stadium?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not abnormal. Why wouldn't you at least start there?
Yeah.
If you're him,
hey, that's a negotiation point. You go buy a used car, and the guy says, hey, the price is $35,000 or $40,000. You're like, I think I'm going to pay $25,000, and then if the guy goes and sells you the car for $25,000, you walk away going, heck yeah,
you walk away going, man, I should have started at $15,000.
Yeah. Well, that's human nature there. But I'm one of those kind of people that I usually start at the deal that I really want anyway.
Right.
And that has cost me in business a little bit because a lot of people say, oh, you left money on the table. I'm like, no, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Right, I got what I need, so we don't need to. I don't need more out of it, but
no, I don't.
I get it both ways.
I would like it, but
right.
That's
not the point, right?
Yeah. Do you really? Are you really going to be that non-compromising? Usually the offer that I put out on the table usually is the one I want.
Right.
If they take it, they take it. If they come back and say no, now I'll tell them if it's unreasonable. I'm not bashful to say no, we can't do that. That
right.
just cannot happen. And that's what should be done at the city. Even like the $50,000 or $500,000 art exhibit that they're doing. I really think that some of the council members should have reached out beforehand because they knew this project was coming. Somebody should have reached out, or somebody should have reached out to local artists first.
See, I've learned about that one.
Yeah.
Apparently there's some state law that makes that problematic.
No, not if you reach out. No. It's a bid. At the end of the day, it's a bid.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There's no local artist that would have charged $500,000 for that. Period.
Okay. Well, then, right.
Yeah. So they would have bid lower, and then they would have selected the local artist, and the money went back into our economy directly instead of New York.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not going to beat up New York because they are taking a dive so bad, and those people are moving down here. So I don't want to. New constituents.
We might have financed a new artist to move to Knoxville for all
maybe. Yeah, if they're smart, they can avoid all those city. I mean, the city has. I think they're from Brooklyn, so the city has local taxes themselves. The city of New York has taxes, which is just insane. So it's one of those kind of things. We got new people coming in. The city is growing incredibly. It's incredible. It's we won't have any. I don't think we'll have budget shortfalls after the evaluation because they're going to have so much money that they don't know what to do with.
Right.
That's just a fact. We're all facing more money out of our pockets. That's a fact. We are making more money though now. Remember when a $10 or $11 an hour job was actually a decent amount of pay?
Yeah, I want to say my first well, not count my first job. I was a paperboy in a previous life. But my first job in Knoxville was McDonald's down the street from here, and I think it was $6.25.
Yeah.
In high school.
And now they're paying $15 an hour to waltz in, and they'll give you $1,000 package if you stay for 30 days.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. And in my company, we were offering $20 and $25 and $30 an hour to work. Just some, just help us out with some moving some stuff and doing this and this and this. And it was hard to find people. And I've been talking to different businesses. Because I deal with composites and stuff like that. And Knoxville, if you don't know this, Knoxville is like composites hub of the universe. We have Brunswick boats, all the so many boats come out of here. And Oak Ridge does all that advanced composite.
So many boats are sitting in a parking lot just like cars waiting on that one chip or whatever from Texas Instruments that we can't get enough of. But yeah.
Oh, that's because some of the electronics are being held up and stuff like that. But they were, during the pandemic, they were having hard time stocking enough people, like having enough men and women to work.
Right.
I talked to one boat company. They're smaller, right? And they're just right over here across the river. And she told me, she was like, yeah, I can pay $800 a week, and they won't even show up. Because, they're getting $600 a week from the government. Why would you go to work for $800 or $900 a week?
For $200 difference.
For $200 difference.
Right.
And, God bless them. You got to think about it. I'm not gonna beat up somebody that goes, yeah, I got that kind of logic. Because that's going on right now in China. It's called the lay down syndrome or something like that, where people just go, man, I'm not running this rat race anymore. And you can't blame them. Sometimes some people they're just like that. But at the same time, when you're just collecting unemployment benefits or whatever it is, you're not contributing to society then.
Right.
And then they'll argue and say, well, why can't we have UBI? I don't know. For you to have $1,000 a month, the tax rate would have to be like 400%, because the United States doesn't take in the money. The government doesn't take in enough money.
We just print it. We can print more. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that's real smart.
We keep doing that. That's how we got through last year. Print it.
Yeah, let's just print it.
My favorite new quote of it's not a new quote, but new to me is like, if we can just print money with no effect, then why do we pay taxes?
That is a pretty good. That's a good question. Huh?
If the federal government can just print money and it doesn't do any damage to anybody or anything, why do we pay taxes? Just you want to buy a new $1 billion battleship?
Yeah,
just print $1 billion and get it made.
Yeah. That's a very good rhetorical question, because when you think about it like that, that's actually what they're doing.
Right.
They're doing it in a soft way, and the reason why we all know this is because when you print money like that, inflation happens. I mean, again, we just talked about it. It used to be, before the pandemic, if you got $9 an hour at a fast food place, incredible. I can't even imagine it. Okay, and that was, it was hard to get a job even there. It was tight. It wasn't that hard to go work at McDonald's, but you still had to apply at least. Now they're trying to hunt you down. Hey, bro, you want a job? You want a job? They got signs outside. They got people asking you at the register. I'm like, dude, I'm a customer. I don't need a job from you guys. But maybe
you could have got this meal for free.
Yeah. I have nothing against McDonald's, because it's their burgers kind of upset my stomach. But I'll say this: the Big Mac is delicious. I can't.
It's just one of those like McDonald's, like
it's staple food.
Well, and it's just one of those like when you're having the conmission about that, McDonald's is just the one you say. It's not like it's the one that's the easy one to throw out.
It's the Coca-Cola, the McDonald's, the Band-Aid. It is what it is.
It's the ubiquitous noun, for lack of a better word, that you throw out in there. And so, okay, we got way out in the weeds, and I love it.
Yeah, I like talking about anything. I've got ADD.
I'm happy to go. Because so it was the big two were
safety and taxes.
Safety and taxes, and then the third one was growth.
Yeah. We got to monitor growth and not monitor it in the way of like, oh, let's not let it happen. We have to go the other way. We have to encourage growth. I mean, here's an example, and I kid you not. This is one of the businesses that we do is we recycle wind turbine blades. Okay, I think I am the only engineer running for city council or scientist or whatever you want to call me. And I think I am the only one that did anything with recycling within the state. Okay, and we're the only ones that can recycle wind turbine blades in the world, like truly recycle them. They do downcycling and whatever, but we actually recycle them. So that being said, that business alone, right, is a hard nut to crack, because if we try to do this in like Europe, the regulations prevent you from doing it. Now here we can. Now, mind you, I have the DOE helping me make this happen, and I have the economic development, force, and all those people. Everybody's trying to help make this happen, because this is something that needs to happen. But if you're just a guy opening up a restaurant in downtown, in the old city, or you're a guy just opening up a hat store, down the way at the mall, or whatever it is, you don't have those giant entities at your back going, we're making this happen.
Right.
You have to jump through all these hoops. You have to jump, and the city is putting out more and more hoops for them to jump through.
Now, on the growth part, on that, in the same line of conversation on the growth part, an issue that I've had with my business is the cost of retail space, and I'm assuming any commercial space for that matter, is getting big.
Insane.
And
Yes.
It's getting big and it's getting fast, and I'm sure there's some math I could figure out how to do about it. The growth in cost of space versus the growth of customer base to offset said cost aren't lining up.
No, they're not.
So
because you can't get enough people here that fast.
Right.
And
it goes along with the same housing crisis kind of thing too that we were having locally. Is there's not enough space to put. I mean, how the houses are getting so ridiculously overpriced because of the demand for it, as is retail and commercial space, and how we manage that in growth and how we manage that as a city. So I don't disagree with you by any stretch that we should try to make things easier. I like, this is a Harper one, and it's not exclusive to her, but a Harper one in trying to get some of these things where we have pilot and tip programs and stuff that the city does, getting behind smaller businesses instead of the multi-billion-dollar companies being the ones that get all these cool tax incentives and things that we put together.
Yeah.
Let's get it on some small people, some new people, some local people first kind of deal. And I'm like, that sounds cool to me. But again, like managing the growth with all these different animals kind of moving together at the same time is, I don't even know how to ask the question at this point. I'm trying to put too many pieces together at the same time.
That's one of the things. And also, you got to think about it. This growth is not necessarily a permanent thing, okay? Because not everybody's going to move from New York to here forever. We're not just going to keep getting.
I mean, if
people
that's the
in.
case, then I'm moving to New York because I don't want to be in New York.
Yeah.
Because it'll be here.
No. But what I'm saying is that there's only the pandemic caused a spur for these people to leave these large cities. Okay, and they came here all over the place.
Nashville was big, but yeah.
Yeah, Nashville was one of the fastest growing cities in the country for a long time.
Right.
That being said, they're running it like garbage. Metro government. And so 34% increase in taxes.
It's got personal, damn.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not trying to be like that, but the fact of the matter is that when you have that kind of thing coming in, that's not forever. You the values are still going to hold up, but those people are coming down there. I know people that came down here. They sold their house in New York for $500,000 or $1 million. They came down here and they're going, and Joe Rogan actually said it, I could buy a freaking mansion for 100th the cost of my house in California.
Right.
And that's what he did. He went down to Austin and basically bought the whole city. And that's the case, is that these people are coming down here and they used to live in a 2-bedroom, tiny closets, little loft apartment in New York City where they were paying, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month for. Okay. And then they come down here, and I don't think there's many houses in this city that are $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month.
Right.
I mean, we just sold that super mansion down there on Lions View.
Right.
And what was that? That was $7 million. That's a decent apartment in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, a really nice one. I mean, mind you, it's nice. But there's, 200,000 of those in New York.
Right.
There's one of those here.
Right.
That's the biggest house in Tennessee, if I remember right.
It's something like that, yeah. It's
something
crazy.
insane. Yeah. And so they come down here and they're like kid in the candy store, because they're like, and they go, and that's why the 6th district is having such a big flip, is because literally they're coming up and they're like, this is a month worth of income and I can buy a house. It's the joke, remember the Cleveland tourism video where come buy your house for the price of a VCR, to them, that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're coming down here and they're going, oh man, $53,000.
Right. And
for
even
a
right. And even a
6-bedroom. old-timey, cool Southern home in, East Knoxville off of, of course they're going to buy it. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
And, and we have a very friendly city. I mean, mind you, yeah, we have a little bit of crime spike now, but that's not permanent. That's not something that they're knowing before they come here. That was before COVID. They're seeing their stats before COVID, and they're like, oh, this place is such a jewel. It's a gem. It is. Knoxville's a great place. I don't care who you are. I chose to live here.
I chose not to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I had plenty of opportunities to leave, and I said, no, I'm staying here.
Yeah, I got forced down here when I was a kid, but when the opportunity arose, I was like, no, it's good.
No,
you know,
I had
being a band dork and liking band stuff. Like
you could be in a band here and make a living and support your music habit.
Knoxville doesn't quite. It's getting better, but Knoxville's never been a good had a good tour stop. We're not a big tour stop for big bands. Like, I'm a big Radiohead fan. I'm a big Pumpkins fan, of old at least. I'm not a new Pumpkins fan as much, but the closest I'll ever get, closest the Pumpkins have ever been to here since I've lived down here.
I worked for Billy Corgan when he played at the Valerium.
Really?
Yeah.
I went and saw him at. I saw he played Tennessee. They played Tennessee Theater once here too.
Yep.
But that was later Pumpkins when they were not huge. But like Radiohead is Atlanta if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Maybe Nashville. But still that's cool.
Actually Bonnaroo.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not a festival guy.
Yeah.
I really like. I want to I remember when they headlined that I was like I want to. No, man, I don't want to do Bonnaroo.
Yeah, I've only been to Bonnaroo once. I was going to work there a couple times, and in fact I was going to work there when Tool did it as well. And I just didn't get around to it because I was like, I got opportunities to do other things, more money. When you're in
trying to get Ashley to come on the show, I've been talking to him.
Oh yeah. Actually, if anything, you want to blame anybody, that would be the person you blame. As a person that worked in the venues and helped with booking or selecting bands and stuff like that, we had a lot of ups and downs with that. And then I was in a band that was actually literally getting told no, even though the headliner was asking for me.
Right.
Because I know their crew, I know everybody there, I have their phone numbers. There's no sneaking around when Brent from Mastodon says, "Hey, I want Nick's band to open for us," and then for some reason Nick's band doesn't open for them.
Right.
There's something going on. Or when Seven Dust, the entire band goes, hey, we want Nick's band to open for us, and somehow some Nashville band opens for them instead. So that's a little chip on my shoulder. But that's long since gone.
To get back to the point, what's cool about Knoxville is even though we don't generally get those, they're accessible without a big to-do. We can go to Asheville, we can go to Atlanta,
yes.
We can go to Nashville, get plenty of big shows. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm down for in this baseball complex thing is having that nice outdoor venue. Even though we have the World's Fair lawn, even though it floods all the time and it's got its own issues that need fixed. Just expanding some of that entertainment value that can be here, I'm excited about as we go. And again, I'm not going anywhere. I like Knoxville, and the more I do the show, the more I feel like I want to do more to continue to help.
Well, you meet the people who are running everything, right. So you're like, oh, okay, these people aren't evil. Maybe some of them are misguided. Some of them might have their ideas in the wrong places and everything like that, but they're not evil. This is not a place to flee from.
Right.
And it makes it always like, this person's just a dummy. Somebody's going to run against them and beat them, and then we're going to have a good person in. That could happen too. I imagine that you're running into a lot of optimism-driven or things, hope-driving people.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I made the joke a couple times. I don't know that I've had a person on the show that I wouldn't trust with my kids for a couple hours.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, if that's a benefactor, I mean, if that's a reference, it's like enough. I don't think that they're gonna kill my kids while they're napping.
Nope.
But I don't necessarily agree with the direction or the those parts of things. That's the politics of it. It's that there's ways to go about an end goal, and certain people want to do it one way, certain people want to do it another. But because again, I mean, I think that's one of the universals is that we all have similar goals. Any of the people campaigning right now, as far as we want safe communities. We want to get a handle on this growth so that it doesn't get out of control and that it ends up costing a whole bunch more down the road to try to catch up. We want good schools. We want all the X, Y, Z. Like I think if we got a top 10 list of things that anybody running for any office in Knox County or the city rather wanted, it's going to be a similar list. The real argument is how to get there.
Yeah,
What's the best way to get there?
That's the
What's
analogy.
the right
yeah,
way?
we're all trying to get to a certain place, a certain path, or a certain point, and it's what path we're taking.
Right.
And some of us are taking a direct path to something, and then some of us are taking a meandering path. And it is what it is. And that's what we're seeing. And at the same time, sometimes when you take a meandering path, it costs a lot more money, and that's really, at the end of the day, for the city, that's the real tough part, is that you have to keep in your budget. And we have seen them not do that over and over and over again. Plus, again, they're taking unsafe paths. They're, homeless people here, or take away the police, or encourage this group, and I'm like, that's not a good idea. That's really a bad idea. I mean, you might think that you're going to the same point that we're going to. We're all most of us are trying to go to, but we know that path does not lead there. That path leads somewhere else, which is very, very bad.
Right. All right. So, we went a little longer than I intended to, and I appreciate your.
It's okay.
You're giving more time than originally asked for. So, plugs, any contact points, anything that you want to get out? Anybody want to help out with your campaign, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I do my email. I do a direct email for nickpolitic@protonmail.com. That makes it pretty easy. So yeah, I'm gonna get a flood of those. And then
I hope so. That'll make me feel good about myself.
Yeah, and then Nick for Knoxville is the website. We're still tweaking it and getting it up, getting up and running. And then those are the two. I mean, I always encourage anybody to just get a hold of me. Email me if you want. Get a hold of the website. Nick Politic at Twitter. Nick Politic 2 is actually technically the handle. And I've got a Twitter that I just started for that because I got banned from Twitter before. So the campaign actually runs the Twitter. Wink, wink. No, actually, I don't fool with the Twitter because it is what it is. But it's going to be mostly like joke memes, like me being the Sasquatch that Tim Burchett's chasing or something. I don't know.
Nice. Say that. What was the website again?
Nick. Nick for Knoxville.
Okay, is it number 4 or FOR?
FOR.
I always ask that one because I can't remember who it was, but I got it wrong because I think it was somebody in District 4.
Oh yeah.
And then it got real weird. I will put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
And anything else before we call it a show?
That's it. I enjoyed it. I recommend everybody to come on here multiple times.
Well, I'm trying. I've got to get. I got a few more to get through to get at least everybody once. And like I said, I'm putting together a kind of cheat sheet for the city election. So it's going to have each district, who's running in it, and if they have a website or whatever, a link to it. So I'm not putting anything in it on my end. I have I pitched a little fit at the beginning about how stupid I think the way the city election works, but other than that,
it is what it is. And like I said, those are the rules now. We can change them later.
Right.
Okay. And that's I always try to encourage people, like, and like with the metro government. Okay. Never has it worked before, but I deal in technology that never worked before too.
Right.
So if you can figure out a way to make metro government work, let me know.
and to protect myself a little bit of the conversation, what it's really about to me is a real conversation about, because I guess one of my concerns in it
why is it so divided?
And I think there's an inevitability as we're talking about this growth, in that especially with all the old weird annexes that are still kind of on the map and stuff like that, that the actual city lines are going to expand at some point, even though there's some stuff in place to slow that down and this, that, and the other. At some point, the growth is going to force.
That's when the city overcomes the county anyway.
Right.
Because right now, I mean, the airport is not in the county.
Right.
And they have that. That's in the city property.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. And another example is like the city council was like saying, "Oh, Shad Road." That was in '98 when they started that. They're finally finishing that, and that is 100% the state and the county doing it. Shad Road isn't even in any of the city's districts.
Right.
Except for like about 500 feet, there's like a Waffle House at the intersection of Clinton Highway and Shad Road.
Right.
That and the Tires Plus and the Sonic are in the city on that.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we're doing all these great things." Well, you have about as much to do with Shad Road expanding as I did building Western Avenue, because I ran for state rep and complained about Western Avenue because it used to be just a 2-lane road,
Right.
and it was the second most traveled road in the entire city, second to only Alcoa Highway. So you got this 2-lane road, everybody's going 55, and it's
Right.
So I complained about it. Guess what happened? They all met and funded it, because it was, again, one of those things where if someone from the city complains about something, even if it is state governed, it will get changed. Okay? Because I ran for a state senate position just so that I could say, hey, look, it's not the city, because the state was trying to blame it on the city.
Right.
Well, actually, they were blaming it on the county, and then the county was shuffling it down the city, and the city's like, I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
And rather than the city going, hey, no, that's a state road, because that's what it is. Western Avenue is actually a state road. They could have done that. Nobody did it, so I finally said something, and then next thing, it was like within a week they convened and funded it and expanded it. I didn't necessarily do it. I just
Well, when you get city council, even
yeah.
though District 2 is not your technical district, you need to figure out get the pumping station flooding thing figured out over here and get it behind us already.
That's easy, because that's a city. That's the engineering department.
It's a city, county, and state combined debacle, and that's one of the joys of that thing.
As an engineer, I can say, nope, you're not going to fool me, because I deal with stuff kind of. Well, I mean, chemical engineer, fluid flow,
Right.
and thermodynamics is our specialty. I mean, we think of that drain as nothing. That's zero. That's not even that's a kindergarten problem. So it's like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
It's volume. It's that you're only using one part of the equation.
Right.
One part of
Right. We need to get this much volume out.
Yeah.
Done.
That's
Check.
it. It's that simple.
It's that simple. All right, man. We'll get out of here. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Nicholas Ciparro.
Ciparro.
Damn it.
No, it's okay.
Ciparro.
Like I said,
Ciparro.
You're not the first, and you're not going to be the last.
I'll do it again probably in the same outro, because that's how good I am at forgetting. We are Almost in Agreement. Get a hold of us at almostinagreement@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you go to our website, almostinagreement.com, while you're there, all the episodes are available there, or on your favorite podcast provider. Please give a like, share, follow, subscribe, all those things at whatever place you're at while you're there. And be on the lookout. Probably later this week, I'll get the City Race 21 cheat sheet up for you guys, and that'll give you at least who's running, a link to KGIS to find out what district you're actually in, because plenty of people don't know that one, as well as a link to the Election Commission site to register if you haven't already registered, or to check on you can find out if you are registered and stuff like that. So we're Almost in Agreement. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. Y'all have a good afternoon.
We did it. Did you do this music?
Sort of. It's off GarageBand.
Oh, rad.
I mean, it's a sample set I just pulled around off of GarageBand and stuff like that.
Cool.